Well, hello, and welcome to Sports by Compian. My name, of course, is Stephen, and I am joined here by my ever-present, powerful co-host, just got in from the job that actually pays him, Mr. Daniel Gill himself. How are you, sir?
Just dreaming about the day that we get paid for this.
Oh, Dan, it's maybe in the works. Who knows? But since we have just a phenomenal show prepared here for you today, don't we, Dad? Just top-notch stuff. Top-notch big sports coverage. So what we did here is we went ahead and talked a little bit about what's going to go with. I'm sorry, guys. The Midwest D3 men's final is over, Daniel. The Red River has claimed victory, and you were right. I was wrong on our predictions here. This was a very close game, so we're going to cover that. The women's final of the All-Star game, as you could call it, also took place. We will cover that. Your boy was actually there for that one, so we do have some decent, vague sports coverage on that one. And then, finally, of course, the NFL. So we'll go dive into all the Week 10 action as teams prepare for their Week 11, Dan. It's going too fast, this whole NFL thing. All this whole football thing. It's all wrapping up, Dan. It's very sad. But, fear not, fans. There'll still be more rugby to be played. Guess what's coming to the spring, Dan? Six Nations is back! Six Nations! Let's just do it again! France is angry. Ireland's angry. It's going to get wild with Six Nations again. And guess what? MLR will be back, and we will be covering it heavily. The XFL and USFL have merged to form something just absolutely beautiful, and we'll be providing some strict coverage on that. Anyway, enough forecasting, Dan. All right, we got to focus on this week. God. This week. But I do want to mention you're doing a great job. So as we mentioned, Red River pulls off the victory here in Lamont. Lamont, Illinois. Sorry, I don't know why I was struggling there. Didn't realize this game was actually taking place here in Illinois. I might have actually made an effort to get out there and see it, Dan. But Paul, our head coach, was out there along with Rich, Mr. Long the King, who was just elected again on another term to continue to be the president of the Ravens. What up, Yay! Long live King Richard! Anyway, both him and Paul were both out there on Saturday speculating, checking out what was going on with this championship game. Paul reports that, the Tradesmen actually looked like the better team, Dan. They kind of seemed like they were in control, but Red River just kept it coming. They kept on responding with scores. Apparently, they took the lead with under a minute left. Oof, if you're the Tradesmen, that just hurts. Whoever was involved in that last maybe missed tackle or not getting under the ball, man, that fucking sucks, dude. One more minute if you could have held on, but we've seen close games. You love to see it. I love to let the division close out this close. Wild fact about Red River, apparently they were Division 4 last year, Dan. Undefeated they went, and now they've gone undefeated once again. Well, I don't know about undefeated, because I think they lost a couple teams, but they said on their Facebook page, they're undefeated. So, what's going on with these guys? So, Red River Midwest Champions, where was I seeing it? It was on their post right here. So, unranked in the new division, charged through the season, ending as the best in the Midwest after a battle in the final. The Ruffians regain 3 victorious Midwest regional championships in 3 years, undefeated in over 2 years. Make it make sense to me, Dad. Didn't these guys lose 2 games to the Banshees before the playoffs even started? Isn't that why they were unranked going into the playoffs?
No, I am pulling the standings up now. Excuse me. No, they're 6-0.
Wow. How are these guys not ranked?
Yeah, the Banshees were 2-3-1.
That's crazy.
I mean, also, are they only counting? I wonder if they're only counting fall season. So
yeah, 100%. That's all that really matters. Yeah, we're talking about the fall. But that's bananas, dude. Who the hell is this team? God damn, they're good. Fucking Division 4 last year, undefeated. And then they come into Division 3, dominate their new league, come into the playoffs and smack everybody around there too. That makes it so much more impressive what they did to Wisconsin Rugby Club. Wow, what a team! Holy shit, it's alarming.
Yeah.
Let's
And maybe
go.
they'll go D2 next year.
I do want to look at this picture because, like, look at this. These look like older gentlemen. I don't see a lot of 18, 20-year-olds in this. Maybe this guy up here, or maybe that dude. But you know what I mean, Dad? I'm not sure I disagree with
I
you on
mean,
that.
they
I'm sorry.
I
Let
mean,
me
they
show this.
definitely look a little more seasoned.
Yeah, and like that pays off, dude. You kind of want the veterans who can still move around. Still, like they got some big boys, obviously. This kind of stuff matters when you get into those really important games, and like, I think both sides showed up pretty strong for this one, so it's a hell of a drive to go all the way to Illinois. Anyway,
Yeah.
good for Red River. Well deserved Division III champions. Looking scary for next year for anyone going up against them. Just kidding, Dad. Rockford Ravens will rise again. Anyway, moving on to some All-Star games. So, of course, we had some players of the match for the various different championship games that took place there in Lamont. Apparently, there was a whole day of rugby. What an experience.
Yeah.
But what we did see was this one right down here of Erica. Yes, Erica. So she absolutely killed it. Apparently from a team down in Des Moines, if I'm not mistaken. Could be mistaken, Dan. This girl just pretty much ran through the other team like all day. Like she pretty much scored 3 tries very quickly and pretty much broke their spirits like out the gate. I watched like her third or fourth try. She ran right through 2 girls and like they just didn't want any part of this trying to tackle her. She was fast, dude. Like this girl was legit fast. It was impressive. Big old thunder thighs. And yeah, she just plowed through girls all day. They started taking her out because it was rolling subs, so they kind of let the West back into the game a little bit. But no, I'm sorry, the East. The Ravens were on the West.
We're the West.
So they let them back in. It was 8-0 at one point, and they kind of let them creep back in. The referee was apparently making some calls one way, but whatever. That aside, the West still was in full control of this game all the time. They ended up scoring some late tries too. They brought her back in. She scored another 2. I think she ended the day with 5. So shout out to Erica. Shout out to Western Division III women's rugby. They absolutely destroyed the East. Marcus was over there. Go ahead.
Was Marcus coaching them?
Marcus was over there locked in with the East, man. Him and Kupo had their heads together. They were bringing girls in, bringing girls out. They were fucking trying their damnedest. But it's hard to come up with an answer when one girl is just running right through the heart of your defense. So can't blame Marcus. He was so locked in, he wouldn't even say hi to me until after the game. That's a locked-in coach right there. You got to respect it, Dan.
Yeah.
But yeah, good game overall. It was really cool to see. I mean, the East had like some 40-some girls. The West looked like they had 30-some girls. So it's good to see that it is cool that there's still like rugby girls being played. Obviously, some of our girls were there on the sidelines, and I'm sure a lot of the other teams didn't. Have players who did travel due to how far it was. So it's still out there, Dad. The interest is still out there. We got to keep trying to grow it. But it is great to see. Shout out to Division III rugby. Shout out to women rugby in general. They had a good old day out there. Your girl Gabriella over in Division II had a good day. So
did you see what our friend Emily Hudak got the other week, or the other day, earlier today? She got the Badger Kings rugby page. She got one of the tries of the week.
Oh yeah, it was a beautiful try.
In the All-Star game.
Yeah, so I'm really sorry, Emily. I did forget about that.
Nice to see a friend of the show get some recognition there. Beautiful
Absolutely.
Run.
Beautiful run, dude. She plowed right through like 2 or 3 girls. Like this was back in like their own territory, so she had to huff and hoof it all the way across the field. I think she broke a couple more tackles on her way, dragged a couple girls with her to the try zone. Just absolutely beautiful rugby. Shout out to her. No wonder it was one of the tries of the week because it was a thing of beauty. These are supposed to be some of the best of the best. She's not just anywhere she's plowing through. So yeah, shout out to Emily Hudak. Big game out of her. She was all over the field for sure. Yeah, they kicked some ass. Moving on, NFL action, Dan. This is the stuff that we really, really kind of know. You know what I'm talking about? The real powerful moves right here. So the week kicked off with just a fucking barn burner. The Chicago Bears host Carolina Panthers and pull off a tight victory, Dan. You'll love to see it, Your boy, I keep on fucking forgetting his name, and it's really sad.
Paget.
Bagent, Mr. Bagent himself, pulls off a victory for the Bears. You know, Bryce Young still doesn't quite seem to figure out this whole NFL thing, but like everyone said, it's hard to say what the heck he's seen in the guy. There's nothing around him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't think he has many pieces in Carolina to work with right now. And they traded away so much. They don't really have much going on there either. So I don't know if they're going to try to make some splashes in free agency this year, make some trades, but they're not set up to get him a lot of pieces right now.
I wonder if they have a lot of cap room.
Yeah, maybe they have cap room. Like I said, maybe they can splash and sign some people.
Yeah.
Now, interesting fact about this game. This was the second time in NFL history in the common draft era that the number one overall pick and an undrafted QB squared off against each other. The first time that happened was when Devlin Hodges for the Steelers, undrafted in 2019, took on the number one overall pick in 2019, which was Kyler Murray. In both instances, the undrafted QB has won the matchup.
How about that? Well, it goes to show the difference in teams' needs. It turns out if you really need if you're drafting a quarterback first overall, chances are your pieces around him might not be the best. Whereas you got teams that are put maybe a free agent in there as maybe an emergency, which I'm sure it was in the Steelers case. They got a good team around them. So that's my beautiful fucking pro analyst right there. God damn, I'm good. Anyway, we're moving on. We got just another fascinating game to start off this NFL week on Sunday for us. The Colts going to go ahead and pull off a win against the Patriots, who are just absolutely no answers, tons of interceptions. Zappy doesn't look like he's the answer. Mac Jones looks like he's confused. Bill Belichick. Whispers of him being done in New England.
I mean, I don't know how you have Mac Jones back out there again after how that game went. I know Zappy threw that interception at the end of the game to seal.
God, it would look bad. It was so stupid. Like, who was he throwing it to?
Well, I've read reports that there's like a lot of miscommunication on what play they were running. Clearly,
it looked like it.
But at this point, why not start Zappy and see what he can do? I mean, he looked good at times last year.
Might as well. It's a mess, dude. I don't have the answer.
And I don't think you're going to be any worse than Mac Jones. I think the Mac Jones experiment's over.
Yeah. The question is the Bill Belichick, experiment over there in New England? I think, who knows, man? Who cares about our opinion? There's far greater shows than ours discussing that whole thing. We'll leave it to them. We'll move on by just saying the Colts are now 5-5, Dan, with a legit chance to win there in the NFC South. That NFC South that should be a pretty big shootout. Who knows who's going to take that division? A lot of people were saying Jacksonville had it on lock at the beginning of the year, but not looking like anymore.
I mean, the AFC South race is very tight right now. It's a three-way race. I think it's anybody's game right now.
Speaking of tight races for a division title.
Especially the way Houston can play.
Agreed. Exactly. That's why we're going to get to that game in a minute. But speaking of tight races,
you're saying, heading into this week, I don't know if you saw. Now we almost got it last year, but this entire division held all the wild card spots. So under the new format of playoffs, if the season ended, this week, there would be the first team in NFL history to have all four teams make the playoffs.
That'd be crazy. That's the NFC South? That's the AFC South, I mean?
AFC North.
Oh, okay. Yeah, AFC North. I'm sorry. Yeah, that makes much more sense.
Yeah, so obviously coming out of this week, that's not the case. But, that's a really good division. And, nobody saw the Steelers playing this well. Nobody saw the Browns playing this well. I mean, we knew the Browns had a good defense, but nobody really knew what their offense was going to do. And, maybe their offense is finally starting to click. And, the fact that the Ravens were up 24-9 at one point in this game and lost.
Yeah.
They went ahead 24-9 at the 12:29 mark in the third quarter. And, the Browns kept them, they scored, came back to 7. But, 11 and a half left in the fourth quarter. Ravens go up 31-17. You would kind of expect, they might get a score, but not anything. And on pretty much 3 straight possessions, they threw a 10-yard touchdown pass, picked off Lamar Jackson for a 34-yard return, and then they kicked a field goal as time expired to win.
And that's huge for Lamar Jackson. That's a
basically
clutch interception. You can't throw that.
Yeah, basically they lost in the last 9 minutes of game time is what those 3 scores transpired.
There was some wild finishes to this week, and that was absolutely one of them.
And I think it was a little surprising. We saw, it was billed as the number 1 versus number 2 defense. Browns had the number 1 offense, Ravens had the number 2 defense, but the way the Ravens have been playing lately, you kind of saw them come down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Well, your rivals will do that to you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back this week, hosting the Bengals, because both teams, as we'll get to eventually, suffered some really bad losses on their respective sides. So, big matchup there this week too.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, hell of a showdown there in the AFC North. Moving on to another AFC North team that couldn't quite close the door on Houston. I think we've been saying it on the show for a minute here, but CJ Stroud has arrived. This guy's legit. I am jumping on this CJ Stroud train while there's still room. I'll save you a seat if you want, Dan, because it's going to get crowded in here very, very quickly. This kid looks good, man. Just absolutely beautiful drive to find Noah Fant and get into field goal range. Bring it back to Noah Fant, man. People are like, who is this guy? I remember him over there in Dallas. He had some big playability. So it's cool to see him having a resurgence here with Houston. They continue to do their thing. Devin Singletary got going in this game. They battled back, dude. They were behind so much in this game and kind of got right back into it. So good for them.
Yeah, their defense did a lot of great work, keeping them in the game. 2 picks on Joe Burrow, kind of uncharacteristic for him. And then, sorry. And yeah, CJ Stroud's really just starting to put things together. I know we talked to last week, we would like to think the Bengals are on the right track. We didn't call them as being back, but thought they're on the right track. But Houston's turning into a little bit of a buzzsaw here.
Yeah.
And they're just working their way through some people. I've even read articles that they're saying that forget about CJ Stroud winning Rookie of the Year. They're talking about he has a legitimate case to contend for NFL MVP of the year. Yeah.
Yeah. He's having a year.
Well, do you know who the other? He's number 2 passing yards in the league right now. Do you know who number 1 is?
Tua?
No, Sam Howell from the Commanders.
Wow.
So, the number 1 and 2 people, you would have not put any kind of stock in at the beginning of the year. And they're the 2 guys leading the league in passing yards through arguably, basically a little past the halfway mark.
It's impressive. It's very impressive. The young quarterbacks are stepping up.
I think, it'll be interesting to see what they do. We have the Cardinals next week. We'll get to that later. Kyler Murray looked pretty good, but it's kind of, can he keep the momentum? And when he gets into these bigger games, how does he handle that pressure? And, like we said, their division's very competitive. Indy's starting to step up. Jacksonville, although they had a tough week, I still expect them to be playing pretty well. Everybody's having problems with the 49ers there, so I don't look too much into that. But, they're going to have a lot of big matchups coming down the stretch here.
Yeah, he'll be continue to be tested, but huge showing out of him. Cincinnati keeps on dropping these close games. Speaking of a not close game, which shout out to Cooper O'Connell. He came on the show and absolutely called this one out. He said, "Nope, San Francisco's going to absolutely destroy Jacksonville." And I'm out here like, "Nah, Jacksonville might be able to pull this off. It's at home. They're a good team." Dude, they did not show up. Trevor Lawrence got me 4 points in fantasy. We still won, Trevor, but geez, dude. He just had an absolutely terrible day. Looked completely uncomfortable there. I mean, that D line for the 49ers, like, what? Why do you guys have so many good players? What is going on, dude? Like, how is this possible? I mean, it's pretty crazy, Dan. It's not too surprising they're just absolutely plowing through teams right now. Made Trevor Lawrence look uncomfortable all day.
I mean, This was the first game with Chase Young. Imagine having to line up with Chase Young and Nick Bosa.
Ridiculous.
They played together at Ohio State.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that defense just got that much scarier.
It's insane. He didn't do much in this game, but he was on a half sack. Never mind. Javon Hargraves with a sack and a half. They got Farrell over there too. I pick him up about it all the time. He's really great. Nick Bosa's over there. Armstead's still over there. Like, it's crazy. It's not fair. How do they end up with all this?
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that makes people think the NFL is fake. Like, how did they do this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, George Kittle.
And like,
did you see?
The Commanders give up nothing.
George Kittle went off. He had 116 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah,
but here's the impressive part. It's on 3 catches.
Well, yeah, you had that long one on like.
Yeah. He had like a 66-yard touchdown catch.
Yep.
It was 66 yarders.
Yeah, it was just one-on-one coverage. This dude couldn't get it done, and Kittle just literally walked into the end zone.
I mean, still, like, that means his other 2 catches were 25 yards. But that's impressive.
It is very impressive. Shout out to the 49ers. I guess the reason I'm so sad about this, Dan, is the Buccaneers are playing the 49ers this coming week. So, yeah.
Well, it might be a tough day for you. I apologize.
Not looking good. Minnesota gets a win here against New Orleans. I don't know when I convinced myself to move my pick away from the Vikings because I'm pretty sure I picked the Vikings. You know what it was? I think it was another pickup podcast that convinced me to move to New Orleans. I gotta stop. I really thought I had already learned that lesson, but I really gotta stop that, Dan. Anyway, Vikings get this done. Josh Dobbs continues to get the job done. Jameis Winston. Shout out to Jameis. Just still helping the Buccaneers out, you know. Dude gets in there with those 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Just Jameis Winston shit, Dad. You know, you just can't. It's just amazing to me. The dude's like, I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe Jameis Winston, but not enough in this particular occasion. The dude's like bombing it downfield. There's still like 5 minutes on the clock, Jameis. You don't need to throw it into triple coverage right now on first down.
No.
Like, what do we do?
So I've noticed the last couple weeks, it seems like they've been using him and Derek Carr. So are they like kind of betting on the play call?
No, Carr got hurt.
Carr got hurt again? Okay.
Yeah, he was out. I think he might be out this coming week too, so it might be Jameis Winston in there again.
Did you see the video of Josh Dobbs arriving to the stadium on Sunday?
And they're like, "Yeah, here's your locker. I heard about it."
Yeah, like he did. Yeah, he got off the elevator, and the security had to tell him how to get to the locker room.
Love it.
Because his first game with the Vikings was on the road, so he hadn't had a home game yet in Minnesota. I mean, you would also think that like
he'd be at the
during
facility.
the week this week, they would have brought him to the facility to show him around, but
does he not go there to like study? What does he not go to there to study film or to practice? Like, I guess it's a separate facility.
The practice facilities are a different facility. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
well, shout out to Josh Dobbs, dude. People have been saying like, "Well, who's going to give this guy like a legit chance?" And it really might be Minnesota. I mean, Kirk Cousins is up after this year. Dobbs is technically younger. I mean, someone's got to give this guy a chance.
I mean, Dobbs looks good in Arizona, relatively, with what he was given.
Didn't even look bad with the Titans. He had moments with the Titans last year.
Yeah, and he had moments with the Titans. I don't think, and then he started out in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Obviously, he wasn't gonna overtake the situation in Pittsburgh, but
Yeah.
you know,
I don't know, man. I think people
I don't
are.
know.
I think with a quarterback weary desert out there, someone's definitely gonna give this guy a shot next year and give him some legit money, which he deserves.
And I mean, hey, his touchdown run was pretty nice.
Dude, he's good. He's a good quarterback. But yeah, the Vikings are just on fire right now, man. The early season didn't go their way, but they have made up for it. They now find themselves at 6-4. I think are they? No, okay, yeah. They got the Lions in that division, but still looking pretty good for the playoff hunt. Speaking of team in the AFC North, the NFC North, that's not looking good, Daniel. What's going on with Nathaniel Hackett? You guys like that dude?
No, who?
Nathaniel Hackett.
No, he's on the Jets.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Well, anyway, he might as well be with the Packers still because what's going on with this offense? Is it Jordan Love? Is there not enough weapons? What's your expertise?
I mean, look, it's I've said this before. We knew that it wasn't going to be an overnight. It's not going to be an overnight thing. Like Jordan Love's new. And then here's the other thing to realize. When Aaron Rodgers took over his first full year, he had Jordy Nelson. He had Donald Driver. He had Greg Jennings. Like, he had seasoned people around him to help him.
That's a great point.
Jordan Love, and I'm not taking anything away from Aaron Rodgers, but, like, to know that he had veterans to rely on changes your mentality, makes you a little calm. I mean, he had Ryan Grant as a running back. Not saying that Ryan Grant is better than Aaron Jones. Like, that's a comparable thing. Like, he has veteran running backs behind him. Jordan Love does, like Rodgers did. But the big difference is Rodgers had a veteran receiving core.
Yeah.
And Love doesn't. And Donald Driver was actually talking about that the other week. I saw on a radio show that he's like and Brett Favre said the same thing too. It's like it's a stark difference. He's playing well. Like if you pay attention to what he's doing, it's going to take time. They got to figure out the schemes and the packages that work best for him. Now this one, there was a lot of mismanagement. Like why Aaron Jones didn't run out of bounds at the end of the game. Said he stayed in. Like that, that's a question of he should have known better. A million other things. I mean, there was and I'm not going to boil it down to like one play or two plays or whatever, but like there was a ball that Kenny Pickett threw that clearly went backwards, but and the Packers brought it back for a touchdown, but then it got reversed, and the official said that it was an incomplete pass, even though like every angle they kept showing, like they were confused at how it got overturned. But no, like look, and the other problem is you can't be forcing the ball at Christian Watkins to make him better. If everybody knows you're throwing at him, like it's easy to shut down. So they just need to work through better of what is going to work for Jordan Love. I'm not concerned. I don't agree with what Cooper said, where he said bench him or get a new quarterback next year. Like it doesn't make sense. We have a good defense.
Do you guys have the defense though? That does seem to be like the big complaint from Packers fans right now. Is you got 9 first-round picks over there, and they don't quite seem to be putting it together.
Yeah, well, we also spend everything on defense more times.
I was gonna say getting back to what you were saying about how there was veterans all around Rodgers when he finally takes these reins. Matt, isn't that on the Packers organization then that you have like Christian Watson in his second year, who's barely been on the NFL field? And Romeo Doubs, like that's your number 1 and 2. Like what have you been doing? Where have you been getting? Where are your good receivers / what the Packers are known for? Like they usually produce good receivers.
Yeah, and you're right. Like it's where's bring in certain vet guys that can really calm down an offense, calm down the locker room.
Yeah.
And help put these pieces together.
And they wouldn't do it. They've been like the Packers have been calling for it since Rodgers has been there. And like you just refuse to invest in the receiver position, and now it's really coming back to bite you, I think. The tight end position for that matter too. Like, do you guys have like a
Yeah,
viable attack option? I know you got that Cincinnati kid.
I mean, Musgrave has had flashes of good in him, but there's still a lot for him to learn.
Yeah,
I think it was rough to lose Tunyon.
for
I think
sure.
that was a piece that we really needed to keep.
Although he doesn't seem to be doing much with where is he now?
The Bears.
Okay, I thought so. Well, I guess it's hard to do anything over
And
there.
yeah. And then honestly it hurt to lose why am I drawing a blank on his name?
Cobb?
No. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never really been a huge fan of Randall Cobb.
Yeah.
Like I like him. I just feel like we misused him a lot. Because to me he was always a slot guy, but they would make him a number 2 all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't like that.
No, he's not very slot
Like
guy.
that was my biggest drawback on him.
Anyway, while you think about that name, we'll move on to the next game here.
Mercedes Lewis. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that
Mercedes
is always.
Lewis.
Jesus, dude, Mercedes Lewis is so old at this point. Like, what is he in year 14? Although I think he's doing okay at the new team, right? Is he with the Saints?
Yeah, but no, him and Tunyon both went to the Bears, so it's like
so just the way.
So like to me, like Marcellus Lewis, like that's like a vet guy that they really could have used in that offense.
Yeah, wonder why the Bears was talking up on tight ends with Cole Kmet in the room, but interesting.
Well, didn't Cole Kmet get hurt last year?
He did, I think so, maybe. Anyway, moving on to another game here. We got the Buccaneers. They had to bounce back. They played a much better game. For once in our career, we finally made a rookie quarterback look like a rookie quarterback. It was really cool. You know, they did cool stuff like intercept him, let him throw for like 500 yards and many touchdowns. This was all really cool stuff, Dad. He just looked uncomfortable all day. The pressure was getting home a little bit more. Kalashi Kansi had a good game. Vita Vea gets another monster sack. Wild game out of Mike Evans. Dude had like 2 crazy drops that were critical. One for a third down, and one just literally dropped it right in the end zone. Like, it was crazy. Apparently, he was looking to see which fan he was going to hand the balls to. Just as wild as it gets. But like Baker Mayfield and Chris Godwin go over there and calm him down, and he just came back strong with that touchdown to kind of seal it. You know, just basically barreled through like 3 different tight end defenders and put the game on ice. What's it called? Rashad White with a beautiful screen pass and just took it to the house. Just throw it to that dude all the time. We apparently can't run the ball, so get the ball to him in space. It seems to work, Dan. Bucks get a big win. They absolutely needed this one. Yeah, good to see. I think the Titans are out of this now. They're now they're now 3-6 in a very tough division and a competitive AFC in general.
Yeah, like I don't see them making anything.
No, it seems to be over there. So
and at this point, it makes them not being sellers at the deadline even more confusing.
Yeah, I guess they still want to try with what they had. So it seems to be over now. The Bucks still stay alive. This was kind of they came into this with the same record, so it was like whoever loses this is done for the season. So yeah, so long Titans. The Buccaneers move on.
You guys got a lot of help with Falcons, Saints, and Panthers all losing.
It's pretty great, pretty great, Dan. We absolutely love to see it. Openly hated on Kyle Murray many times, but he pulled off a nice comeback game here, man. He gets in there with Hollywood Brown still over there. Ray McBride has a huge game. Kind of a big, probably his biggest game if I had to guess. But yeah, just the Cardinals pull off a very tight game against Taylor Heineke's Falcons. We love to see it.
I mean, Kyler Murray's doing everything he can to make sure they don't have the number 1 overall pick, so he still has a job next year there.
Checks out.
Even more impressive, this was on Call of Duty weekend.
Oh.
It dropped 2 days before the game, so
nice,
surprised that he was ready there. But no, I think here's the reality. We all know that if Kyler Murray was on the field, they have a far better chance than with him out. And I know that kind of goes against the Josh Dobbs was playing very well there. He was. And I'm not taking away anything from him, but the reality is I think they had a shot with Dobbs if they were playing the Falcons. I would have probably felt okay doing that. Truthfully, I did pick the Falcons in this game because I was curious how off Kyler Murray might be in his first game back, but they're an
We all
extremely
picked
tough.
the Falcons.
Yeah, they're an extremely tough division for sure. So trying to make moves that way, I don't see happening. But who knows? With them back, maybe they can make a little bit of a run.
This is their
Sneak
second
in on a
win,
wild
Dan.
card.
No, it's definitely over.
No, dude, the division.
No, dude, it's 2-8. They're 2-8. There's no way.
Dude, on Fox's in the hunt. Green Bay was like third back at 3-6.
I mean, whatever. Yeah, I guess they're still in the hunt. I guess Seattle could theoretically still bumble this, but it looks like they're going to figure it out. I mean, I think they're just having a couple tough games in a row here. Speaking of Seattle, is that next? No, it isn't. But Detroit pulls off a very close game against the Chargers. Omeza, a friend of the show, had a funny text he sent to me. He was like, "Hey, we should just combine the Bucs defense with the Detroit offense, and apparently it'll be unstoppable." I don't know if that's the case. Bucs defense did have a great day, huge bounce back game for them, but Detroit defense does seem to kind of struggle at points. But then again, they're going against Justin Herbert, who we've talked about this before, Dad, but they're the best 4-5 team now.
I mean, yeah, it sucks.
They keep on losing these tight ones.
He plays so well to, finish like this and
keep losing.
He threw 4 touchdowns and threw for 323 yards and lost.
That's insane. That's kind of
that shouldn't be happening.
That should not be happening, Dan. No, absolutely should not be happening. But Jared Goff seems to be a baller out there.
And I mean, aside from their game against the Chiefs, all the Chargers losses have been by 1 possession. So they could easily be 9-1. 8-1,
yeah.
8-1, I think.
Yeah.
So, it sucks. It's how it goes. I think, we're talking about Bill Belichick, what's going to happen to him. I think this one's a bigger one. I don't see how Brandon Staley makes it out of this season, past this season. I don't know if they're going to fire him during the season, but I think once the season's over, he's gone.
I think if their playoff hopes die, he's gone. As soon as that happens, they're like, all right, Staley, thanks, bud. You're ruining Herbert. We got to move on. I think the whole NFL would like to see Herbert just do a little better, man. Keenan Allen had 40 points in fantasy, 175, 2 touchdowns. That's crazy talk. Shout out Keenan Allen, still doing his damn thing. Dallas just absolutely destroyed the Giants, which was a shocker to everyone, Dan. We were all shocked that Danny DeVito, who couldn't throw for over 100 yards in this game, lost this game. Although he did throw 2 touchdowns. So, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns? Yeah, I
mean, yeah, it's... Giants are just god-awful.
Giants are bad. Giants are real bad, dude. Is Dable in danger because of that bad? I don't think so, right? You can't fire the dude who resurrected you.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't want to say he has a little bit of a pass, but when you lose your quarterback, there's only so much you can do.
Especially when
they weren't much better.
And then there should be a second pass because your quarterback is Daniel Dimes.
They weren't much better with him, but
exactly.
The head-to-head matchup between the two of these this year, the combined score would be Dallas 89, New York 17.
Ouch, New York fans. It's a rough year. Dak Prescott throws 4 touchdowns on your team, 404 yards. Did CeeDee Lamb go over 100 yards again in this game? Wouldn't surprise me. Of course he did. 150. And then Brandon Cooks, who I wasn't even sure where the heck he was.
173, yeah.
Brandon Cooks, 173, man. So both the Dallas receivers go off. Nobody could cover them, apparently. Michael Gallup was going off. Just an absolutely phenomenal day for the Cowboys offense. And for their defense, really. Held DeVito under 100 yards. That's a good day at the office, Dan.
Yeah, DeVito, tough night.
I don't know what we were talking about before with Seattle, dude. What were you talking about? Dude, they have 2 wins. There's no way. Seattle has 6. So I
What?
don't know. We were talking before about the
But they,
Cardinals. Cardinals apparently still alive in the playoff hunt. Seattle has 6 wins.
again, Fox can just inflate it to make it look better, but they had them
Yeah.
listed as in the hunt.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, Fox can say whatever they want. Sam Howell, though, like you mentioned, first overall, as far as passing yards. Speaking of people who are doing well and still losing, Sam Howell, 312 yards, 3 touchdowns, still catches an L against the Seahawks.
I mean, I think here's the thing though. Like, I think that we all know that there's a lot of building right now for that Washington team. That they're still putting their pieces together. They're getting the right coaches in. Whether or not Ron Rivera is there next year, who knows? I don't think so. But I think they're getting things in place. I love that they got the enemy. He runs a great offense. We've seen it in Kansas City the last couple of years. That's starting to pay off. Now, Sam Howell will throw it with the best of them. Now, who catches the ball is the big question. That's kind of the tough spot there.
Well, they got Bijan Robinson going over 100 yards receiving. I think he had like one big receiving touchdown, didn't he? Yeah, like a 50-yarder.
Yeah.
Either way, Scary Terry, kind of a quiet day, but overall, it's kind of crazy they're so competitive with having traded away like all their good players.
Yeah, it is, but it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with that trade capital that they got. I mean, it wasn't much, but Seattle's still trying to stay competitive on their end at the same time with that tough division. But I think Washington's trending in the right direction. Still a couple pieces out, but
Sure.
Let's see how they finish. They have a couple interesting games coming up themselves, so who knows where that'll land.
Yeah. Well, Dan, moving on to another very close game. There's just so many defensive games going on in the NFL right now, and like I don't know why I keep on being sarcastic about these being barn burners. I mean, it's defensive football. You'll love to see it. Some young quarterbacks went at this one. Zach Wilson versus Aiden O'Connell, and O'Connell gets the job done. Not the most impressive stat line, but overall, got the job done. Josh Jacobs goes for over 100 yards. Javante Adams catches 86 yards himself. Not a bad day at the office for the Raiders. They find a way. Max Crosby continues to do his thing. What did Max Crosby do?
Yeah. The Jets defense kept him in the game, for sure. And nobody's expecting anything out of either one of these teams. But at 5-5, the Raiders are got to be feeling good about themselves, especially they're now 2-0 since firing McDaniels. So I'm sure that locker room feels loose, happy, and that's where teams get dangerous. When they can just go out and do their thing.
Yeah. So I was corrected. Max Crosby actually didn't do much in this game, but the Raiders defense did do enough to get the job done. They continued to stack wins for their new head coach, Antonio Pierce, who one of my favorite all-time NFL moments. I forget what game it was, but I think it was their Super Bowl run. He was the middle linebacker out there, and like their check call was so cool. He just starts banging his helmet. I think he picked it off and like ran back for a touchdown on that play, but it was pretty cool. One of my favorite all-time recap moments there. I think he was mic'd up for it too. Monday Night Football, as the Manning cast would put it, oh my goodness, Dan, what is going on with the Bills? And also, dude, just what is happening? So this game was crazy close the whole time. Buffalo just did not want to win it. They kept on giving every opportunity. Buffalo's defense was keeping them in it. But like, dude, they line up to go kick this final kick. It's rushed, so he misses it. But Buffalo has 12 people on the field. Like, how, guys? How?
Like that's just mismanagement on their team. The fact that somebody didn't realize it. I was thinking about this today. for as much grief as we've given the Broncos the last 2 years, are things finally starting to click in Denver.
It looks like
Sean
it,
Payton
man.
getting it together with Wilson. Not to take anything away from them, maybe this is finally becoming that Denver team that everybody thought they were going to be when Russell Wilson showed up. But I mean, Buffalo's on a spiral, and that's all I got to say there.
Yeah.
I get that they're injured, I get that this and that, but they can't stop it, and it's hard to get behind them. They've had
ample opportunity.
They've had some really tough losses, and some of their wins weren't good. That game against the Giants, ugly. Beat the Tampa.
They've had
by
a pretty
one
easy
score.
schedule.
Yeah, they beat Tampa by one score.
Dude, they probably should have lost that game with that crazy freak Hail Mary. Like, if Godwin just turns around and locates that, we pull off a crazy win.
Yeah, and they just can't put teams away.
They really can't. Josh Allen looking like he's coming down to earth a little bit this year.
He is, and I don't see it getting much better for them this year.
Doesn't look like it. Does not look like it, Dan.
Well, did you also see allegedly the placeholder for Denver on that kick? They think he had pine tar on the back of his hand. Because on the back of his hand it was really shiny. It looked like pine tar that we typically see in baseball. The pitchers will put on to help get a better grip on the ball, which is illegal in baseball. So, I don't know if it was cold, he was having a problem gripping the football and the snaps, but there's like a clear picture of the hold, and you can see it on his hand.
Huh.
I haven't gone back to watch it. I've only seen still images. So I think it'll be interesting to see if anything comes out of that.
Interesting stuff. Well, you fine folks of Sports by Compian, we appreciate your support. Continue to do so, please. Like and subscribe to our content. Share it with your friends and family. Follow us on Spotify, all that good stuff. Daniel, do you have any final words for these fine folks of Sports by Compian?
Yeah, go support our man Josh Dobbs and buy a jersey.
Damn right. Get yourself a Vikings jersey, Josh Dobbs. Get yourself a Cardinals jersey, Josh Dobbs. The Steelers jersey, Josh Dobbs. Titans jersey, Josh Dobbs. And then we'll wait to see who he signs with this new year. Oh, yeah, and one more thing I wanted to say. Carolina, you guys better send some scouts to the XFL this year. It's going to get you guys need all the help you could get.